Okay, so that was good in some ways and weak in others, and a lot of the things end up being exactly the same because it's clear that the people in charge of this were huge fans of the original Voltron and then bringing back some of the original crew, but not all of them, even though the replacement for Lotor, Tim Curry, obviously, sounded a lot like the original guy. I had even thought when I was watching the original series, he does remind me of Tim Curry a little bit. And the plots that they came up with, they felt a lot like the original show, and the fact that this show gradually started adding continuity after you get through the first several episodes. That was all good stuff, if you ask me. And then the changing of Zarkon being a good guy for a while, and having Lotor be the primary villain for real this time, because in the original one they totally made Lotor the primary villain, despite the fact that he's actually taking orders from his father. So it's nice to see Lotor in more of his own element and having to do things himself. And then Hagar doing things a little more differently, like rather than creating Robeast stuff, so Robeast is going after the Voltron members more emotionally, because steering Princess Allure's father's spirit, doing the barrage bit in the last episode, and then there was one other good one that she did, although I can't remember what it was now. All that is excellent stuff, but then you've got the bad stuff, which is the fact that despite having better continuity, not to say that the original series didn't have some continuity, but in Lion Force it was definitely a lot more of repeat the same formula, whereas for Vehicle Force you could tell that there was more of that there. So this had the Vehicle Force level of continuity, but the ending of it, somewhat anticlimactic, even though the main story arc that had been going on for half of season one and most of the second season, why they split the season into two seasons, I don't know, but the main story arc was more or less wrapped up, so how they ended it, it's okay. It's definitely better than how those additional 20 episodes for Lion Force and did, because really, episode 52 of Lion Force, that had some finality to it. Episode 72, whoop-de-whoop. So in terms of the plot, it's better despite the somewhat weak finale, but then you've got the main issue with this show, and that is the change in animation. Now, of course, if it's a show like Voltron here, where you get different revivals or reboots of the show, of course the animation is going to change. Like, you think that all the Marvel cartoons are the same? No, they're not. Do you think all the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series are the same? Based on what I've seen, no. But the change in animation style actually did kind of detract from the show, because, as I said, the fact that they got a lot of the old voice crew back was excellent, and the plots, it felt just like the original Lion Force. They got a little more creative because there's less reliance on Voltron going after Roby's time and time again, and a couple of supporting characters being added in there added some humor to it, which was good, although they really did make Karan virtually useless, because in Lion Force, he was an excellent mentor. Here, he's just there to be there. Right. But this animation, even though you can argue this allows them to do more complex things with what's going on the screen, ultimately it just felt like, even though obviously this isn't happening, it felt a lot like miniatures getting thrown around, even though I've seen stuff where they actually do use miniatures, original Battlestar Galactica, and the movie Independence Day, and it looks brilliant, but this just... It wasn't as fun to watch because the animation really detracted from the story. I'm just... Especially when we're looking at the characters' faces, like there's very little emotional dynamics going on there, even less than what was going on in the original series, because frequently the mouths of the characters would move the exact same way, which is typical for that style of animation, but the music and the emotion that all of the voice actors put into the roles, it made you overlook that almost all the time. Here is the exact opposite. I'm just looking at these characters going, this would work a lot better if this was a radio drama. Yeah. I'm gonna say it right now. It's a lot fun to watch if you close your eyes. So I'm really hoping when I watch the 2012 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series, which uses an animation style that's really similar to this, along with Beware the Batman, which is kind of similar, they're able to make me overlook that grievance, because that was a big issue that I had. Anything else to really mention? Oh yeah, Zarkon. Now, I think I alluded to that him being a good guy for a while helped them do better with Lotor, and I will defend that statement. But the problem is, at the beginning of the show, all of a sudden, he's perfectly a good guy. Like, even before they started alluding to the fact that he wasn't all good, I was like, that's it? Like, you put Lotor in that prison, you keep him there for years, under strict scrutiny, and you expect that his father, the guy who was actually in charge of everything and ordering everyone around, all of a sudden he's okay? Like, what did he do to prove his loyalty? I mean, like, sure, I'm overthinking it because it is a show that's geared towards younger people, and I'm betting that they raised the age bar a little bit with this show, given how it's meant to be a direct sequel to the original, but that was just way too simple. Had it been the other way around, you would have had a little more credence, but then you would have the weaker villain. So you're doomed either way. Right. And then also, what happened to the council that was in charge of the Galactic Alliance? All of a sudden now robots are in charge? This Amalgamous caricature? You really think that a robot is going to be able to understand human dynamics? Now, of course, it's the future and a totally different Actually, no, wait, it's not a different galaxy. This is our galaxy, right. But, so obviously AI could have improved, but I don't think you can do things like that. It's just... What happened to that big council? And, of course, there's the argument of the fail-safes, but this isn't iRobot or any kind of movie like that, so we're not going to dive into that. So that struck me as odd. And then, one bit of dialogue that I wish that they hadn't done, even though I think I recall hearing that this show got canceled. I don't really know if that's true, because the ending for Season 2 did feel fairly natural for an ending, because it wrapped up that story arc from Season 1, albeit Season 2 is only half as long as Season 1, though once you combine them, it's still the length of one season anyway. When all the Voltron forces get flown into the parallel universe where Hunk and Pidge have switched places, and Keith and Lance have switched places, it's a lot clearer that that version of Keith and Allura are together, and then in the original show, it was hinted at a couple of times that the two of them could be an item, though they didn't ultimately pursue that. I kind of wish that they hadn't thrown in the line and made a big deal about them being an item, because that alluded to the possibility that they would bring that up again, and then they don't. Again, the age that this show is geared to might have come to play a part in that, but there you are. So, as I said, there's good things about it, and then there's bad things about it. Am I glad that I watched it? Yeah. Am I going to watch it again? Well, I'm going to listen to it again, but actually watch it, there's not much merit to it. Because, as I said, it works better as a radio drama. But do I prefer this over the original 20-episode extension? I think so. Alright, so that takes care of this. Time to move on to Voltron Force. See ya.